So, this is the Flashpoint Golan, or Flashpot Gonad, as a friend of mine used to like to call it, scenario that I've chosen to go forward with first. And I'm dragging my feet tremendously with this game. It has never delivered for me. This is the Karameh operation. It's going to last a total of 2 turns. I don't think I have any kind of game turn track, but I tended to keep track of it, I think, on the paper. Air superiority is fixed at Israel 2 for the entire scenario. The play area is limited to west of the 3100 hex row. Just back here. East of the 2000 hex row. Which means actually I can't be where I am. I went here on purpose. See, but this is part of 2000. I don't know. I wanted the height of those hills to support, that's where all my artillery is. And what? South of the 0016 hex row, which God knows is way up here. But the goal of this scenario is pretty limited. The victory conditions, the Israelis get a limited victory if at any point in the game they take the hex, the PLO is in here, and that's for hasty fortifications, and all the adjacent hexes in Jordan. And we have troop qualities spelled out here with permanent troop quality of 7 for the 202, 6 for the 35th paratroopers, and 3 and 4 for the PLO. And the other units are first line. Oh, and if I kill any 4 PLO units as well as meeting the minimum victory conditions, I bring it up, boost it up to a major victory. Airstrikes, because this is 1968, if an airstrike shows up as F-16As, they're going to be A4Ns. Remember, we roll randomly to see what kind of plane shows up for an airstrike. I guess that's about it. The Israeli have the initiative to begin with. And, well, I'm going to take the Rachel unit to start with. Really, in a lot of ways, I'm just playing this scenario to familiarize myself with the core mechanisms in the game a little bit. So we're going to have to kind of take this step by step because this is a tough game for me. Looking through the strategic cycle, we did the initiative, there's no political. Air superiority, it's fixed for the game. I did look that up. Air defense is 1 point if you've got a 1-point advantage, and it's 2 points if you're at least a 2-point advantage, if I can recall that. I should really have that written down on my little cheat sheet, or maybe it's somewhere in here and that's why I didn't, but I haven't been able to find it. So the next thing is jamming, and I looked this up. Basically, you need a 6 or less to jam, and since the basically, each player can try to jam each other. You don't need to detect a headquarters in order to jam the headquarters electronically. So let's look at our headquarters, see if any of them have jamming capabilities. I would guess that CENTCOM does, but that neither of the divisional headquarters do. So, we'll look, this is going to be a Jordanian jamming. The only one that's going to is the high commands. The Jordanians do not. For the Israelis, jamming, only North and Central Command are going to have that ability. Well, I am going to spend one of my activation points, and I should get some little markers here to do expenditures, but I'm going to expend an activation point to try and jam the 3rd Mechanized Division headquarters. I have to roll a 6 or less on this. And I think I'm only allowed to try once with each headquarters. I succeed, that means I get a little marker, headquarter disrupted. And if you can recall, that prevents a lot of the headquarter effects. It also stops, if I had unsuccessfully jammed, my headquarters would have been detected, and the Jordanians could have launched strikes on it, which might have been kind of unpleasant. But that's where we are right now. And now let's see. There are no reinforcements. Not going to be doing any replenishment and reorganization. So now I'm in the ops cycles. And as I said, the Israelis have chosen the Rachel unit. Now I have to think a little bit about how I want to arrange my attacks, but I've got a real problem right off the bat. I got to launch set piece attacks here as far as I can tell. And I have to look at some of the rules and try to understand what that means. The Israelis had to set up first, and maybe I shouldn't have set up right on the border there. I'm looking at things. If I do a set piece battle, I have two choices. One is I could launch set piece battles against both of these, or I could declare that these units are holding and I'm just doing a set piece battle here. Given that the entire Jordanian frontline units are in here, I'm a little scared. In particular, I look at the numbers. I've got 21, 33, and some artillery right there, 36. And I'm facing 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. That's a 1-to-1 attack. That doesn't sound terribly good to me unless I can manage a lot of power. Now, I've knocked out his headquarters, and that means a number of things. Let me flip to the list so that we can see those. He doesn't get any capabilities, okay. But artillery that's going to help is going to be halved for the rest of the turn. He can't use reserves, so he's not going to be flinging additional forces into this battle. That's good. And he can't use airstrikes, which he might not have been very good at doing anyhow. However, those numbers still aren't pleasing. Now, presumably, I'd be able to get more forces into play against this unit if I take this hex. And this is my main goal here. This little symbol is for a tell, or rather than for some kind of fortified location. Oh no, it's permanent fortification. Shit. Huh. I didn't see that. What line is that on? Oh, that's on the nasty line here. No. So I don't have a hasty fortification here. I can't have that with the permanent. Oh well. Yeah, this is just going to be so hard to dig my way through. That's the problem. Because I'm going to be allowed to toss my fire support in at full strength, and I can also throw air support in. Let me see how much. No, I can only do air strikes to weaken the force. I can do up to 2 of them. Now, because of the air superiority level, Israel only has 2 airstrikes total. And Jordan has none, so I don't have to worry about that. I think I can only do the 1 hex. So I'm going to declare that these guys are holding for this activation, and these guys are not. Now, I don't know how much I went into this, but if I have more than 50 momentum, every set of 50 gets me a bonus activation. I can only use that, I'm not going to get to that in this scenario, but I can only use that I can only use one of them on any given formation. So a formation can only actually activate twice in a turn. So yeah, I'm gonna attempt the set piece battle here, and let's take a look at our numbers. What do we have here? So these guys are on hold 2. Let's see, 36, 37, 38, 47. Now there's no combined arms in this game. 47 to 4, 6 to 9. That sounds like a pretty good odds. We're going to throw artillery support in on both sides. Nope, we're not. We can't support the PLO with those. So we'll throw artillery support in here, which would be an additional 6. So that's 53 to 9. Let's make sure we're getting an odds shift there, because I don't want to throw in extra support if I don't need it. Might be some artillery back here too. Nope. Okay, 53 to 9, and sorry about the stack falling over. It doesn't sound like it's helping me anymore. So 45 to 9, the next one would be 54. So I'm not throwing my artillery in, thereby preventing myself from getting... If I had special munitions, I could use their multi-shell munition packs that I could fire that would actually give double the ammo, but I don't have any special munitions for this scenario. So, let's airstrike. Let's see what we get. We're going to do 2 airstrikes. And we look for this. And that's going to be an F4E. Okay. I think I can put this way over here. You can see I'm going to have some trouble getting at everything when I'm playing some of the bigger scenarios. I'll have to keep things off board. Where's an F4E? Well, that ain't it. All right, there it is. I have to trace this from an airport, which I think this may be my nearest one over in Jerusalem. And I can't use any capabilities of the headquarters, so this isn't going to get intercepted. So I can just fly it into place. And now we go to the strike results, and that one has a C rating. Targets in a deliberate fortification, so I get +2 to the die roll, which means I probably won't do anything. 5. I get a 6 result. Okay. Now the PLO is at 3 for the garrisons and 4 for the others. So everything's pretty much taking a step loss here. And that just reduced his strength. So let's go for our second airstrike. See what we get for our second one. Looking down here. This time we get a Kefir C2. That wasn't pretty good. And again, I'll be able to fly that in. That's a B quality plane there. We're again at +2. I could use my artillery to shell these things. +2, 5. That's going to give me a 5. Now, if this was a multi-rocket launcher, I'd have an ammo depletion on it. A 5 on the morales is again enough to do a step loss on each. So now I've broken all their units. Now, these strikes do not count for determining the loser. You can see what a mess, you know, the amount of informational counters can generate, at least if you're not, you know, taking some shortcuts here. All right, what did I say? We were at like 47, and now the strength is down. They're in a deliberate fortification. They're up 2 actually. Screw me. So this was only a 5. This isn't going to do any damage. The first one was a C, and I don't remember what I hit, but it was a kind of big number. So yeah, this one didn't do any damage because of the fortifications. Oh well. But I'm still only facing 4 strength points. And I had 47. If I throw 1 artillery in, that'll get me up to 12 to 1. I don't know if I need that high. The deliberate fortification, it's a tell. That only goes up to 6 to 1, so I don't need to do that with that. I could throw my artillery in to try to soften them up some more. I don't know if that's necessary. I can't combine the artillery, I don't think. Let me check that. Because they're all in the same hex, so I may be able to. Hold on. I'm allowed to combine the artillery, so I'm going to declare, I think, an artillery strike, assuming I'm allowed to. The reason I may not be is the ordering of things. Artillery attack, helicopter, then airstrikes. Yeah, so no, I won't be doing that. I would have counted on the airstrikes to do this. So I got that 6 to 1 attack here. I'm not throwing any artillery support in. It's going to be over on a tell. They are disorganized, whereas mine are at normal. We roll a single die for this, and you can see artillery ammo depletions depend on this die roll. There are no modifiers. We're crossing a river. Oops. Uh-oh. Crap. So that puts us down on the minor river table instead, but that's still 7 to 1, so we're on the same chart. Okay. Let's see what we get. We get a 1, which I think is terrible. No, it's very good. Because the losses are attacker, then defender. So we're going to look at a 2 as the number we're going to be hit with. All of our units will be that good, but we don't know yet. So we have to check the troop quality, first line units. Let's see how good our units are. They're only 5s. So Rachel's troop quality is a 5. I don't think I have anything else mixed in here. I think the 202 are up here. Or no, the 35th are up here. The 202 are over here. Okay. So that's a 5. So they're fine at 2. But the 8 that these disrupted units hit is going to hurt them. Now, remember, it's possible for me to do multiple levels. Why? Because my troop quality is high enough. So 2 or 3 times the troop quality of what I'm facing. My troop quality is 5. It's not good enough. Okay. Which means that all we do is 1 hit to each, which is going to put these broken markers there. That's going to be a victory, though. And I believe that's going to force them out. I'll be back in a moment. They're going to have to retreat from here, and they do it following this procedure here, not in enemy zone of control, towards closest superior headquarters. Well, there isn't one. Through terrain that's least costly in operations points. Okay, what about operations points? I'm guessing that that's going to put me going down that road. So that's clear terrain, which is cheap. These are leg units. Roads are even cheaper. This is if you're not even doing strategic movement. So I think, oh, this is cheaper right away though. What's that? That's a road, the other's a highway. So I think I gotta go down the road. Except I can't, that's a zone of control. So I go back 1, 2, 3 hexes along the highway. Now we gotta figure out the momentum change. And this is, one little attack, right? This is a real operational game. You can see the number of counters there are. It's not case blue or anything like that, but man, I'm beginning to see why it is that this game doesn't work for me. I'm spending way too much effort to calculate one little attack. I can live with that in something like La Grande Guerre, even though it's less there. But so the size of the battle, there were 4 brigades in a set-piece battle. Brigades, right? No, those might be battalions. No, there were 4 battalions. How many battalions to a brigade in this? Each brigade is 3 battalions, so there was less than 2 brigades. So it's a small battle, but it's in a town or deliberate fortification. So we're going to get a point of momentum. We're not going to break 50 here. And now I'm allowed to occupy this, and I definitely want to. And now I get to start spending operations points. Now, I'm not sure what else is under Rachel. Obviously the artillery is. So I've got to kind of look up, can I and do I want to move other units? Because I probably want to slip these paratroopers into this fortification that was left unheld and is overlooking an important location. Look, I didn't do the cleverest job here, but I'll tell you one thing. The Israelis attacked straight on instead of trying to swing around and get an outflank or anything like that either. So it's not absolutely clear what would have been the outcome if I had spread out my forces more. We're just trying to learn the system here. So let me look up whether or not those guys can be included in this command. I believe they can because they're independent units. The only thing that I have otherwise is CENTCOM, which I could activate other units for, like these paratroopers or something. Before I go into that, had I taken any losses, I would be able to do battlefield recovery at this point by spending some capabilities of my divisional command. I didn't take any losses. My units got a good roll, so I won't be spending any capability on that. I'm able to activate them under this command. They're in control, they're in command of this. I can only activate them for 1 command in a turn, so if I choose to use this unit, I won't be allowed to command them, I won't be allowed to activate them under the CENTCOM, but it's absolutely vital for me to take this location. So we're going to move forward there, and this is going to be a highway, I think, which is going to be a quarter or a fifth of the current cost, depending on whether I'm using road. Oh no, not current cost. It's going to be a quarter or a fifth. So I can move forward. Now this could be dangerous because the headquarters could detect me if I hadn't disrupted it. But given that I disrupted it, I think it's not able to detect me. Well, even if it can disrupt, it doesn't have much it can do, can it? Yeah, I could interdict it. No, I can't use any of its capabilities. Okay. Yeah, there's basically nothing I think I could call in to help me here. Now, I probably want to get these paratroopers moving too. I'll leave my armor back here, I guess. I'm not sure. But that'll give me... let's see, what's stacking again? I think I have that written down, don't I? 6 battalions. And these are battalions, most of the units in the game, right? And the other thing's in brigades, really? Yeah, okay. Alright, so I could actually move all of this forward. That might be wise because I don't really want to get attacked with my headquarters here. So let's see what I can do. This would be 1 in some small fraction, 2 in that small fraction. Call it 3, 4 up to here. I'm going to move everything into play here. The division has no stacking cost, and I've got like 1, 2, just 3 points stacking here. So we'll get them all in here too. Probably should just move the headquarters here. Keep it a little bit behind. I think that's the end of the first activation. Now, the other ones are going to be minor, except perhaps the Jordanian army, which probably wants to try to position itself to hold as many of these hexes as possible, make things tough for me. This is just a tiny, tiny little scenario here. Actually, presumably I have an exploitation marker here, which I could have utilized, and I could have pursued that unit. I don't want to. I want this setup. But there were other options open to me. So the turn here was essentially without incident. The third mech got the next draw, and I pushed everything, including the artillery, up into one of these hexes that the Israelis have to take. They're going to have to punch the Jordanians out of there. That shouldn't be too hard. The hard hex is going to be this one, but I got to be careful because I only have so much activity, right? But I can launch an attack there and an attack across these two, and this will still get the advantage of being surrounded for the rear attack. So I can do set piece attacks and probably blast away most of the force, and then I can pursue into this hex, and I'll have gained the victory conditions. The PLO forces have pushed under the headquarters here for more defensible terrain to make it harder to reach those other victory conditions. I could have conceivably actually run up here, but the thing is, there are a significant number of PLO units there, and they're going to have a hard time getting out of there safely. When they retreat through this hex, because it's in a zone, they're going to take additional losses. So they may actually be destroyed by the attack. It's unlikely, though. The Israeli units aren't good enough to cause multiple losses. So unless airstrikes or something really rock their world, they're not going to get very far. And Central Command really had... That's not burning. It is a little nothing to do. I hate this pipe. It is always spewing little bits. So we go to the end cycle for the turn. And that's going to remove breakdown struck, ops complete, etc. The disrupted marker comes off. I think that's all that really happens. I recharge my my number of air units and such not. And then we move to the next turn, and again the Israelis are going to have momentum, so I get to choose which to go first with. I'll choose Rachel again, which throw these in place. Anything else of importance happening on this? Air superiority. I'm going to get another shot to jam. Oh, this gets marked back up to full strength. I'm going to get another chance to jam their main headquarters, which hopefully I'll get lucky with again, you know. Alright, so starting the next turn, the Israelis succeeded in jamming the headquarters again. Remember, there's a pretty good chance of that. It's like 70%. So it's pretty major. And now I've got to declare set piece battles. I'll be doing one against this hex and one against that hex. These should be weaker defenses, but I'm facing the Jordanian main army here, which is going to be problematic. I only have my 2 airstrikes. I may want to do artillery strikes or an artillery strike as well to supplement my chances of hitting things. Even though I moved my artillery up here, I can commit it to strikes instead during this set piece, and that may give me a better odds. One of the problems is these are real units. They could be hard to move. Alright, first strikes were both effective, and I've reduced both stacks because, well, we got A4s actually in both cases, which is kind of cool. But the artillery rolled a big number, had 9 artillery together, ended up running out of ammo and doing nothing. And now it's time for the strikes, or for the actual attacks. There's a lot of stuff we're not playing with, no attack helicopters, you know, none of the missile strikes and all that. But even this is pretty damn complicated. This one is particularly an interesting attack because we're running... What's the effect of the river? Let's see what that does. By the way, I wouldn't have had to attack, actually. That'll be on the combat table, actually. Yeah, the river's just going to be a terrain type. And I think I don't have to use it if I'm attacking not through that terrain location. So here I can't use the headquarters. I have 21, 35, 47. Ooh, there was some more artillery I could have thrown in. Probably would have. What did I say? 21, 45. Looks like I thought I was at 47. 24, 36, 45. I guess 48 there. And I'll throw this in. How much of it? Hard to tell. None of the artillery. So the question is, any of this? If I don't throw this stuff in, I still get the bonuses, and I get the ability to move with it. I don't really need that though. So we were at 48. Looks like 76 to 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 76 to 14. Sounds like 5 to 1. I'm attacking in clear terrain, which puts us all the way up here. Great. Alright, now because they're surrounded, they get 2 subtracted from their quality, but they also get 1 added for the hasty fortification. So we're taking 1 off their quality. I've got garrisons there which are trained. See, here's the problem. I'm not going to be able to go for the major victory, but I don't think I have a chance at it. So the training level of these guys is only 2, which means I can get 2 levels of results because the Rachel units are quality 5. The other units are actually even better, so that's actually more important. Hold on. I think I have the 202 in here, don't I? Doesn't really matter. I have the paratroopers at the very least. So that's actually 2 levels down. So I can do 3 levels of damage to them. I can destroy them if I get lucky. So we make a roll, and we get a nice low roll. Which means if the defender has any artillery, his ammo depletes. And that would have been true with the other case too. I didn't mark it. So I'm taking a 2. That's not going to do anything to me. These guys are all disrupted. They're taking an 8. That's going to hit 1 level for all the Jordanian units. But now we check the next level down, which is the 10 level here, which is going to wipe out 2 of the Palestinian units. And the rest of these are going to fall out of there. They've got to retreat 3 hexes. When they go through this hex, they take another level of damage each for retreating through a zone of control. They're not even allowed to do that if they can avoid it, but they can't. And then they'll continue on their way. Breakthrough marker there ensures that not only can I advance into that hex, but I can actually advance a couple, 3 operations points, which will get me into here I think there's zones applying it. Well, if this unit's gone, there won't be, so we'll see. For these guys, what do we got here? 21, 33, 45, 47, 11. That's going to be 4-1 in the clear without any bonuses going for them. Okay. So that gets us all the way on the top chart again. And a middling roll this time, which means we take a 4 as the attacker, which we're fine with. And the defender is already disrupted. They take a 6, which is enough to hit all their units. So all these become broken and they flee too. And it's essentially over here. These guys are going to run, I don't know where, probably up here if they're not out of stacking, because that's going to be cheaper. But there's another breakthrough here, and basically I can occupy those locations. It would be possible for the Jordanians to counterattack. There is a victory point modification if there's casualties in this scenario for the Israelis. Every 6 levels of morale loss affected on their units, so I got to be kind of careful to keep my stacks where they're kind of defended. But I can probably fall back on the line on the river. Well, no, I can't because I got to occupy these hexes. So I'll be up there, but the Jordanian army just is not capable at this time of mounting a major defense or a major operation. So I'm going to call it here. This is a minor Israeli victory. You can see how hard it would be to get the full Israeli victory. I killed 2 units, but those other guys got away, and there was just nothing I could do about them. All right, let's send this one up.